Ethan, first, I just want to acknowledge you and thank you so much for being here with us. Obviously, this team are very tapped into your knowledge and wisdom already. We've got some of the links of conversations that you've already had around your clinical experience with the PEMFs, etc. My question, really, just to open it up, is I've seen your journey with Oly Life. You've been in from almost the very beginning. And I just want to say congratulations because I know that you've really joined forces with Luigi just recently. And that means that we feel a part of that too. And so it's really just energetically awesome that we feel like we've got you closer in the ways that we can work together. My question is, why do you choose Oly Life? You've got a lot of experience with frequency devices and healing instruments, etc., over the last 10, 15 years in your clinical practice. What I'd love the team to understand is, why do you choose Oly Life when there are other products? And what is it about the future that you see as possible for you and also your growing team partnering up with Oly Life?
Okay, right. I don't think I've talked about this very much in Zooms. So I originally first came across this mix of terahertz and PMF and terahertz on its own through another company called Price, which I think many people will be aware of. Price were the first ones to bring the terahertz ones into the West before Oly Life was even existed, in fact. And I saw one of the things that I'm most focused on with any product is results. I don't really care too much what the science says until I see results, because there's a lot of science out there that's more theoretical than practical. I saw some amazing results using terahertz, people that couldn't walk, able to walk again very rapidly. After years of not being able to walk, pain disappearing, all sorts of things that some of which we're seeing, or many of you have seen now. And saw that with terahertz alone, without even the PMF. And so I got in, researched that, got involved with Price, and they got some similar products. I'll go into a little more detail in a bit, but they got some similar products to what we now have with Oly Life, and they were getting great results. However, ran into some problems with their quality. We started having problems, even though we were having fantastic results. I loved the product. The company, not so good. Lots of problems within the company. And then the big problem was that the quality dropped as they got a bit greedy on what they wanted to make. And it wasn't just little problems. We were having customers being damage, literally third degree burns in some cases as these things exploded. So it was horrible. I could no longer recommend them, even though I loved the product when it was working. It became too risky. So I had to stop recommending them. I tried to influence Price to resolve issues, and they kept promising they would, and they didn't, and it went on for 8 or 9 months where they didn't fix things that needed fixing. At that point, I began to research and discovered that there was a new company with the same kind of technology in Asia called Oly Life. And so through a little group of us, we researched it. One of our people spoke directly with Oly Life about the possibility of them coming to the West. They agreed to do so. After actually, originally they didn't. They said they weren't interested yet. It was too early. But eventually we pushed them. We said, look, we need you here. This is an amazing product. Pride for doing a horrible job. We need the product. Please, please come. Eventually he said, well, look, we can send the product, but you might not get much support. We don't care. We just want the product. So we got the product. And one of the things that shocked me, because I wasn't aware of this, but we were selling back then. The wand was the big seller in Price. They had a version of the P90 called the iTerra Bio, but we didn't do much with that. Oh, there's another thing that we discovered. So the Oly Life had the same technology, but there was two big differences. The first difference was they were making it to a much higher quality. They didn't have the breakage issues, and certainly not the dangerous issues that Price had. So that was the biggest factor. To my shock, which I didn't expect, they also were significantly cheaper. So Prive had a version of the P90 called iTerra. So the P90's selling at 1100. Their version, which turned out to not be quite as good, was selling for 4,500. Just to give you an example of the difference. Now they're being prior for being smashed by Oly Life, especially in Asia. They're pretty much knocking them out. But just to give you another kind of shocking example of the price difference, so Prive are just coming out with a new wand to compete with the Oly Life wand that's going to have a Dyson motor, which by the way the Oly Life wand has, and then we've had for a long time. So they're upgrading it to be much like the Oly Life wand. Okay, but it's not going to come with a stand. Their wand is going to be not $660, but 7,000. Okay, so just so for you to understand, it's kind of shocking, and it's why Oly Life are smashing them, because their product is better and their price is, in this case, that's the biggest difference so far in price. So I moved over to Oly Life, and as Oly Life said, I had no support for the first, well, until Luigi's team, frankly. Okay, so there was very, very little support, but we had the product. So I actually sold about 500 P90s personally before I got my own. I happen to live in a country where neither Oil Life or Prive deliver, so I can't build organically as Doug and Laurie were just describing. I can't do that because I can't get the product here. I have to literally fly to the US, get a product, and physically bring it back. So anyway, so the products from Oly Life are not just superior and cheaper, but the results we're seeing for the many people I brought across from Prive to Oly Life. So we've got experience of both products. We've got experience. I've got like the very best ones from Prive and their basic ones. I've got 5 or 6 of their ones, and I've got Oly Life's one, and Oly Life's is better than all of those and cheaper. One of my ones wasn't 7,000. That's going to be their newest one, but one of my ones was 4,500 compared to the 660. And I don't use the 4,500 one. I only use the Oly Life one because it's better in many different ways. So that is, in brief, is the story of why I ended up with Oly Life, and the results that I'm seeing in the field have been phenomenal. Does that
Fantastic.
answer your question, Anna?
Ethan, thank you so much. Just very quickly, someone was asking what your background is. Just some people are more
It's
familiar with you than
it's
others.
just a brick wall. It's just um no. So I'm 35 years a holistic health practitioner. I originally trained in kinesiology, which is a kind of acupuncture with pressure. And then later trained in neuro-linguistic programming, and then on from there into nutrition, frequency, and so on. The last 10 years, I've been more focused on nutrition and frequency. For about 5 years, I focused entirely on helping people with cancer. After 4 members of my family were all diagnosed with cancer over a 12-month period, so I got very, and one of them was my wife, and so I got very focused on cancer for about 5 years. And then during that period, I really developed and fine-tuned my approach to health, which was when I understood that every single disease was a cell dysfunction. And so just like a battery, when you get a new battery and it works great, after time like I'm talking about a rechargeable battery here, but after a time it gets less and less good, and that's to do with cell health. The
Mm.
cells are breaking. You end up with dead cells. That wrecks the battery. Well, every single sick person has got cellular dysfunction, and that is caused by blood dysfunction, because it's the blood that keeps the cells healthy. As Doug mentioned, it's the blood that carries everything that the cell needs to it and away from it. So the blood is the cell health. And so my focus for cancer, and then eventually I realized everything was, if we can fix the blood,
Yeah.
then we can fix the cells, and the cells are what are us. And our health is basically down to our cell health. So, and one of the factors around cell health, every single sick person, without exception, has low voltage. Every single sick person. Every person with correct voltage is not sick. So increasing voltage, or another way of looking at that, is increasing energy. As your energy goes down, that's your energy, but your cell energy. The energy is what gives your cells the power to do the things that they need to do, which includes healing, but everything else. So if you can
Perfect.
increase your cellular energy, then your body can then do what it needs to do. So same as a battery. We are basically human batteries, and I like to think of the P90 in its very simple form as a human battery charger. We being the battery, the P90 being the charger.
Perfect.
Ethan,
Yeah.
can we continue that thought then for a moment there? I appreciate how you just, every time I'm on a call with you, I learn more. So I like how we can talk both cell and blood health. I love that. You know, we recognize, and you shared why Oly Life, right? So it is the superior product because of results, quality, and so on. As we try to keep our conversations as simple as possible. However, we're going to still run into those that want to talk more about the tech. Can you help
Right.
us in a conversation that we could have with others? How do we talk about the 1 megahertz? Like if you look up the specs on our systems there's grounding frequencies, there's activating frequencies, the 1 megahertz. How do we best talk about the frequencies if someone's online comparing, or in general they're just asking more details? Well, there's different intensity levels that we can dial it up to. They come and try it at a 3, or they want to go up to a 8 or 9 or 12, whatever that is. What's the best way for us to think about the frequencies, explain them? Again, the 1 megahertz versus the grounding. Can you elaborate a little
Right.
bit? Do you have those conversations?
I can tell you how I do it, but you
That's
might
what
not
I'm
like
asking.
the way I do it.
Well,
So,
but it works. If it works, we want to hear it.
right. So the first thing I say is that they can't compare it to the Beamer or any of the other PEMF devices that they might be trying to compare it to, because none of those devices are mixing PEMF with terahertz. So it's not the same thing. And so straight away, it's kind of like trying to compare a car and a motorbike. They both get you from A to B, but you can't really be beyond that. You can't really compare them. They're very different in how they function. So ultimately, the best way of comparing, I believe, is to look at results. What are the results that we're achieving now? I like, and you obviously, Doug, you like to know some of the science behind, well, why are we getting these results? And that's all interesting, but of less importance to most people. What we really want to know is, what are the results? And one of the reasons that I love the P90, and indeed the one, but one of the reasons that I love them is because of the results. Now, I've worked with people that run clinics that have frequency equipment, sometimes costing $50,000, $60,000. And I've personally not worked myself with those kind of devices, but various clinics have them. And what I've heard over and over again is that you would expect a $50,000, $60,000 frequency equipment that's only available in clinics to be more powerful and better and get better results than the P90, a little device that you can use at home. But they don't. And I've seen over and over again, not in every case, there's going to be situations where it does do better. I'm not saying 100% across the board, but as a generalization, they're seeing better results with the P90 than they are with their very expensive equipment. And that goes as well for the equipment that's 4,000 or 5,000, like a Beamer and other things, which I'm a fan of. I'm not knocking them at all. They're good devices. So I don't want to give any impression that I'm suggesting that they're not. They are good devices. But if I only had one device, and I've got a load of different devices, if I just had one, I would go with the P90 Plus. That's the one that I would go with. I haven't actually got a P90 Plus. I've only got a P90. I'm working on getting one into Brazil. If anybody knows how to get one into Brazil, let me know. But yeah, so I would just do that one. So that ultimately, I think that our easiest way of showing people is through testimonials. Testimonials are the most powerful, as long as you keep the testimonials accurate, really showing what it does, you don't exaggerate, then testimonials are the most powerful way of showing the difference. That's a much better way, rather than trying to get into the science of what frequency does what and all that. And frankly, the science, as I love science, but we haven't even got a single study on PEMF and terahertz combination, not one. Right? So we're really lacking in that area. And so it's going to be a long time before the science catches up. And that's if they do it accurately. A lot of science, just as you can buy politicians, you can buy scientists. And there's a lot of science that's coming out of thought scientists, right? So it's not always accurate. So I find real world results the most accurate way. So if I've got a client that's got a particular arthritis, let's say, I want to know, okay, what's the P90 doing in general for arthritis? What's the feedback from the field of people with arthritis that they're getting with the P90? And for me, if we can get those answers and find, yeah, we've got like 20 people here that had arthritis and most of them have had a very good result. Some of them have completely reversed it. Only a couple of them haven't had a result. Great, then I can strongly recommend it. And one of the things that I'm big on is actually, some people think you can't recommend a product until you've personally had a good result with it. I'm absolutely against that. I'm absolutely against that. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I actually sold 500 odd before I got my first one. Why? I didn't need a result for myself. I needed results, but it didn't need to be me. Other people were fine, especially since I don't have arthritis or fibromyalgia or many of the things that people are coming to me. I can't use myself if I don't have those problems. So I need other people. So I prefer data, and data from one person is useless anyway. We need a bigger number. So I'm a fan of finding out what the results are on a bunch of people with specific things, and when we've got that data, we can start feeling much more comfortable about recommendations.
Ethan, one of the calls, and I love how you just reminded at least ourselves, one of the calls we were on with you, we were talking about cellular health. I think we were talking about someone who had a cardiac event. We won't get into those details, but what you reminded us, if what this is doing, which has already been proven in research, is returning the cells back to where they need to be, their optimal health, then why wouldn't you want to do that? So you may or may not see results depending on what you have, but we do know we all have depleted, tired, decades, torn and battered cells that we are getting back to optimal health. We should, that's why it was a slam dunk for us. Everyone needs this, whether you know it or not.
Raised earlier, Doug, you asked a question about stem cells, and actually PEMF does increase stem cells. It's one of the things it does. So all of us are going to benefit from that. Everyone, whatever state of your health, having more stem cells, it improves cell membrane potential. It increases ion exchange. These are all basic things. It improves ATP, mitochondrial activity. They're all things that we need for our health. So it doesn't almost matter what is wrong with you. Having these basic foundational things met is going to help you.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, and I saw your question. Lori's going to look it up. We do have the channel for the Oly Nation testimonials that we can share with the group.
Yep, I love it.
It's called Oly Nation Testimonies. no L, testimonies, Oly Nation testimonies.
If we can just get that in there, because I find it hard to find links in Telegram, but if someone can get it, then we can join that group. I think the power of testimonials is the thing to underscore, that Ethan, with all of your experience, it is the most powerful tool for getting this product and this this technology out there in the world. So anyone that is sort of sitting back and hesitating on sharing this until you have had yours, there's a massive missed opportunity. If you're feeling the love for what we're speaking about and wanting to share this out, to lean into testimonials, gather them yourself. This is a leadership moment, guys. If there is a gap in you not being able to find the information that you're looking for in the tools that we've provided, this is your moment to shine, to create a group, to gather testimonials, to put it out online, offline. This is really everyone's moment to shine in their leadership. And leadership looks like different things to different people, but we're only just beginning. This is just the start. Can you imagine in 12 months or even 2 years from now, the testimonials that we will gather together? We'll be able to literally sort them into, different cancers or arthritis, or without making claims, we'll be able to have so many anecdotal testimonials in different categories. But we really are at the very beginning, and we need leaders to come forward and go, right, I'm going to take it on. This is an area of passion of mine, and I'm going to lead the way for that area because I have fibro, or I have vitiligo, or autoimmune is really where I sit with my own passion for this technology. So really just take that leap and create it, because I can promise you that will be a huge value addition for our whole organization. Did someone want to jump out?
One of the things I would say on testimonials, for whatever reason, my experience is that people don't generally volunteer testimonials. They do need a little bit of asking, and there's a couple of things that I've learned to try and encourage that. So one is that sometimes they'll give me their testimonial. I'll be on a call, they'll call me to ask some questions, and I'll be talking to them, and they'll be saying, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe it, this and that and the other. My pain has gone and my vision has improved." And then I'll say, "Hey, would you mind writing that down and putting it in the group or whatever?" And they're, "Yeah, no problem." They never do. Right. So, well, not never. Some of them do it, but a big percentage of them don't. So I want to give you a couple of tips of what things I do to encourage that, other than just asking them. So that's the first thing you've got to ask. So ask them for their testimonial. That's the first thing. Second thing is, one of the things that I will do is sometimes they will tell me, and I'll ask them, and if they don't do it pretty quick the next day or two, they're not going to do it. So what I will do, they've just told me, I will write their testimonial. I will send it to them and say, "Hey, I've wrote down to the best of my ability what you told me on the call. Can you just check this and make sure it's okay? And if it's not, correct it, because I'd love to share that with people." They will nearly always do that. So that's one major tip, where I've nearly always get a testimonial if I write it for them. The second thing is, when I'm on the call and they're telling me, sometimes I'll say, "Hey, do you mind if you just stop? Is it okay if I just record this little bit of the conversation? Because I'd love to encourage some other people with what you're saying. Is that okay? I won't do it if you don't want." I don't put any pressure on them, but I make it clear that I would like it. And most of the time they'll say yes. And then I'll just press record. I'll record that little bit, and then I can make a nice little audio testimonial. If I want to put it into text, I can do that as well quite easily. You can do that easy with AI now. So they'll tend to do it on the spot if you ask them like that. So that's two key ways apart from the asking them. So number one, ask them, and then that's two little things that I do which vastly increase the chance of getting an actual testimonial. And if you do get the testimonials, they will drive your business. The testimonials drive this kind of business by far and away. I can talk the science, I can go into all of that stuff, and there are some people it's going to help, but the vast majority are going to be much more moved by half a dozen powerful testimonials.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Now, I just want to again give anyone that's got a burning question for Ethan to, this is the last few moments before we wrap up and honor everyone's time. So have a think about that, 1 or 2 max. Ethan, here are the takeaways I'm getting. You have chosen to plant your flag with Oly Life. There are many different companies out there doing frequency technology. You've worked with some of them. You see them out there. I know that we've seen bait and switch. We've seen other companies, on the rise. And I know that you've got all the option to go with anyone. And yet you have come back very steadfast to Oly Life for the reason
Right.
of quality above anything. That was the key takeaway.
Results, quality and results. And
Quality.
by the way, somebody mentioned Healy earlier. I
Yes.
bought a Healy. I used it for 3 months. I sent it back. I just
Why?
didn't get the results.
Didn't get the results. Okay. So what we have here gets results. Ethan sees hundreds, thousands of clients on a regular basis. That's his core business. To know and hear that from you is massive edification for us. And honestly, the only thing that's going to get in your way from really blasting this out there and making the difference that you're here to is yourself, is your own, just things getting in the way for you. I think the simplicity of what you've said, Ethan, I know a lot of people are really passionate about getting into the nitty-gritty of the science. What you've shared is just keep it really simple. The innovation that Oly Life are bringing to us has never been done before. The way that PEMF and the Terahertz are coming together with the technology, patented technology, protected technology, isn't to be compared with anyone else. And even getting science on it can be inconsistent or even out of integrity, because as we've talked about, who's doing the studies anyway, who's paying for the studies. The results speak for themselves, and if we're confident, other people are going to be confident. If some people are not satisfied with what we have to say, share, and show, they're not ready for this yet. We're right at the beginning, guys. So maybe they're ready for the next part of the wave when it's mass adoption, and they maybe have missed this window of what we can do together. So don't get bogged down in other people's projections of what this is and isn't. Borrow confidence from the leaders, borrow confidence from Ethan, have his voice in your head if you come up against it, and push through that shadow, push through that barrier, and keep on gifting this incredible healing and change, life-changing technology and business model to others, because you love, you care, right? That's my big takeaway from you, Ethan. So with that, massive thank you. Have I missed anything in the chat that is a question, a final comment for Ethan, a gratitude? Anyone? We're good.
There was a question. If it's short and sweet, I think the most powerful testimony you've seen, Ethan, other than Stacy. Do you have something that you can share in a moment, or is that best saved for another call?
Well, I've seen loads. You said Stacy. The thing about Stacy is visually, she's very powerful because you can see a huge change because she was huge and then she looked great afterwards. But she's not the biggest example actually, but she's just the best visual one. But there's been many people that have had complete reversals. Of a whole range of different things, not just vax damage people, but I use it. See, I've got to be careful what I say, but
Turn the recording off.
diseases that doctors would say are going to kill you, and they haven't died. But in all fairness, I am using a number of things. I'm not using just one thing, but one of the most important factors that the P90 does, which is going to help nearly everything, is increasing cellular oxygen. And it does that through improving circulation. And you see these very sick people doing things like hyperbaric chambers, which are very expensive. And that's great. And it's increasing, or an ozone therapy, another one. Again, that's great. What's it doing? It's increasing oxygen. And it's increasing oxygen at great expense that not everybody can afford. The thing about the P90 is this is something that, okay, it's $1,100, which for some people is a lot of money, but You then have it at home. You can keep doing the treatment over and over and over and over again, and you can share it with your family and friends. You might even get some what I call P90 friends. They were never your friend until you got a P90. Now they're around every other day. So it's really an incredible device that you can use from home that is doing some fundamental, foundational things that are going to help with every kind of chronic symptom that you might think about.
Thank you. And I know Lori's reminding me you did share one with us before. So maybe on another call, I think just getting into one or two.
Yeah, I think we shared Mandy. I think I did a call where I shared Mandy's results. So she's had some amazing
Let's
results.
share that one on another call. That'd be great. Mandy. All right.
Guys,
Anna, thank you.
Thank you so very much.